those are like the days where your opening act is much bigger than the person that's doing the concert.
That's very, very kind, brother. I've looked up to this man for a long time, and it's a privilege to consider you a friend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Hold on. Let me just tell you, this is a true promise that was made. He said that if either of us go to the White House, we will both shave our head.
I see you too. You do make it look good.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Give it up for, does a press corps applaud for Andrew Yang? This is the Yang Gang. Hello, everybody. Welcome to New Jersey.
Jets or Giants?
Jets or Giants?
Jets or Giants?
You're looking at this is breaking news right now, because I don't think we had the internet, nobody can look it up, but you're looking at the Giants 1986 pick for high school football player of the year. So I am loyal to the people that were loyal to me back in my high school football playing days.
Giants?
That's the Giants.
Get them out of here.
Oh my gosh. All right, you lose one. All right, yes, sir.
Both China and Russia are going to Africa.
What's your name, sir?
Mukurima.
And Mukurima, where are you from?
Kenya.
From Kenya. And are you here living in California now?
Yes, I'm living in Long Beach.
In Long Beach. And who do you write for? Who do you write for? What press organization do you represent?
African Warrior Magazine.
All right. African Warrior Magazine? That sounds intimidating. All right. What would you like to know? Sorry for interrupting.
Both China and Russia are going to Africa, and Africans are seeing the United States and other European countries as though they are deporting the continent.
Did my staff put you up to this? I'm not exaggerating, but finish your question because I want to tell you this is literally what I'm saying all the time.
Your first policy towards Africa.
Yes. So we're retreating from the continent in some substantive ways. And me and Jeff Flake were the leaders, Dem and Republican, of the Africa Subcommittee, the Foreign Relations Committee. And I'll never forget, to your point, flying into Zimbabwe after Mugabe had been, let's call it, overthrown, and Emerson Mnangagwa, we were going to meet with him to talk to him about human rights violations, to talk to him about free and fair elections and American sanctions. But when we land to have this conversation about honoring things like human rights and free and fair elections, he's coming in the same day from China. And their message to him had nothing to do about human rights, nothing to do about free elections. It was a transactional relationship. There is a contest going on that we're seeing on the continent of Africa as well as around this globe between totalitarian governments, dictatorial governments, and free democracies. And Africa is one of those points now where America should not be retreating. There are critical strategic national security issues in Africa. There are critical strategic human rights issues in Africa. There are things that we have a responsibility to be involved in. And this can't be a time where Donald Trump is pulling us out there. So I've been speaking up in a bipartisan way about that. And if I'm president of the United States, to the point of your question, we're going to have a robust Africa policy because it's in the best interest of America as well as the right thing on the planet. All right? Is anybody else from a periodical with the word warrior in it? Because I would like to not call on you. Yes, sir.
So,
what's your name? Don't you identify yourself?
Giovanni from Viewpoints.
From Viewpoints?
Correct.
Okay.
College print. So you just came out yesterday, right, supporting a government program to control drug prices, correct?
Yes.
Yes. I have a question. Why did you vote no on the measure to import cheaper medicine from Canada a few years ago?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of junk on the internet about that, and I would. The Intercept. Yeah, so I would actually not read the Intercept article, but go to the article entitled "The Stupid War on Cory Booker." I would never ever do anything to stop prescription drugs from coming in from Canada.
Did not.
So I did not vote against any measure that would have stopped to stop prescription drugs from coming into our country. Absolutely not. And again, go to the stupid war on Cory Booker. Go to the fact check that was done by, I think, the Washington Post. I have been all my life fighting for cheaper prescription drugs, and I'm proud of it. And since I was a mayor, I was calling for importations from places like Canada. All right? Yes.
I'm Cristobal Spellman with the Los Angeles Loyolan, with Loyola Marymount University, where you're most likely going to have the debate in December. A question I had is, how are you going to restore democratic institutions and hold back against democratic backsliding that we've seen in the...
Hold back against democratic...
Backsliding.
Backsliding?
Backsliding. How would you as president hold back against that backsliding and restore democratic institutions?
Can you be more specific? Because
So with the rise of sort of anti-democratic measures by the Trump administration to pull out of international organizations like UNESCO or the Paris Climate Agreement, and the rise of sort of country-first politicians like Bolsonaro and Maxime Bernier in the Western Hemisphere, how would you combat that?
Okay, on the global level.
On a global scale.
Okay, so look, sort of like I did my answer to my friend and fellow warrior, the first question. We are at a point in America where we're seeing this president say he has an America First policy, but what it really means is America isolated and alone policy. He's turning his back on institutions and allies and attacking them. In fact, he has a better relationship with people like Duterte and Putin than he has with Merkel and Macron. We are a nation right now that has to understand that this world needs us to lead on issues from climate change to peace in the Middle East. And this pulling back from everything from the Paris Climate Accords all the way to the Iran anti-nuclear deal is unacceptable. And so when I'm president of the United States, I'm going to restore America's partnerships with critical allies, because we are the strongest nation on the planet Earth, but our strength is multiplied and magnified when we stand with our allies. All right? I'm going to get some gender balance here, so please.
Thank you. Laura Marine with Long Beach Life. So I have a question.
And is Long Beach Life, it sounds like it's like a well-being. It's like
it's a mood, it's everything.
It's a mood. It's okay, I understand.
Absolutely.
Are you living the Long Beach life yourself?
I am, absolutely.
Can somebody from New Jersey live the Long Beach life?
Well, there is a Long Beach,
Thank you for knowing. How did you know that?
Absolutely. Well,
I'm the New Jersey trivia.
there you go.
Did you know that the M&M was invented in Newark, New Jersey?
No.
along
You learn
with
something
patent
every day.
leather? Did you know that?
You learn something new every day.
And finally, very importantly, did you know that also Shaquille O'Neal was invented in Newark, New Jersey? Yeah, well, I mean, born, I guess. It's a better way of putting it. I mean, he was created there. Okay.
So,
All right.
what are your thoughts about...
And I do have some issues about the way Kobe treated Shaq here in California.
Oh, we can go on and on with
Can we
that.
talk about that? Can we talk?
Yeah, so let's get back to politics.
I'm sorry.
How about
sorry.
that?
Go ahead.
Okay, so how do you feel about student debt? Because I'm one of those students that's going to be paying debt for the rest of my life. What are your thoughts and what are your actions if you become president, or when, to help us out with that?
Student debt is a cancer on the body of our nation. It is crushing this country. It is undermining our global competitiveness. Every other country, our competitors are lowering the cost of college. Germany, between 0 and 4% of median income all the way to go to college. Canada, like 7%. In this country, it's between 50 and 60% of median income to go to college. While this rest of this nation understands that the more you cultivate the genius of your country, the better success your country has economically. But we are saddling kids. It's number one, pushing lots of young people away from college, but those are literally changing their behaviors as a generation, from buying houses, getting married, and making decisions like that. This has to stop, and I will stop it. Number one, we are going to do the Debt-Free College Act. We're going to make that law so that we begin to have affordable college. Number two is we're going to stop the kind of games that are being played, like the federal government making billions of dollars of profit off of the loans to college students. That's going to end, and we're going to reinvest those money in lowering and eliminating interest rates. And by the way, like you can with your car and you can with your mortgage, you should be able to refinance your college loans. And if you have some act where you have to declare bankruptcy, those should be dischargeable like other debts are. We are going to do something. But the last thing I'll mention, and I mentioned it from the stage, is more innovative things that I've been proposing, like baby bonds. What if every kid in America had $1,000 in a interest-bearing account, and every year they get money placed into that depending on the wealth of their parents? The lowest income kids would have upwards of $50,000 of wealth to invest in buying a home and starting a business or going to college.
What about free colleges?
Look, I think that we should make and I've been calling for this for a long time, we should be making our community colleges free, but I'm not interested in using taxpayer dollars to give Donald Trump's grandchildren freedom to go to college. I think we can have pathways to debt-free college so that nobody is graduating saddled with debt. We can achieve that in America. We can compete with our global peers and have pathways. But I want to say this, 2/3 of American kids don't go to college. And this conversation doesn't seem to include all young people in this country. We have got to make sure we have pathways to career success for everybody. And that means changing our economy to being far more emphasis on apprenticeship programs like our competitors do. Because the same country I mentioned, from Germany to Switzerland, they don't only have affordable college, they have robust apprenticeship programs so that every young person has a pathway to a successful career, and that's what I'm going to do as president. I'm going to stay. One more question. Did you want one more question over there? Because I was going over here.
We'll do 2 more. You can go right over here and we'll go right over
Okay, we're going to go to the person in blue. I'm sorry, it's my favorite color.
We met at Cherie Shanker's house a number of years ago
Oh my
when you were running
gosh.
for Senate.
All right, I hope this is a vegan-related question then.
No, but I did go vegan in June.
You
so it's
did?
funny that you should say
Welcome to our side.
that. Okay, so my name is Lauren Steiner. I'm with a show called The Robust Opposition. It's about organizing and activism. And I want to know, so far Bernie Sanders is the only presidential candidate who called what happened in Bolivia a coup. He just repeated it on the stage. Do you think what happened in Bolivia is a coup?
Look, I'm on the Foreign Relations Committee, and we were just talking about Zimbabwe. And literally, we have to understand, when you call something a coup in Africa, actually, it triggers certain things to happen. So let me just tell you what I believe, and let's not get into semantics, that the people of Bolivia right now do not have representative government. And they deserve to have a government where they get to express their democratic ideals, where they get to participate in elections and have self-determination, which we should have in Bolivia.
Well, Mark Weisbrot from the CEPR said that it was a fair election. They disputed statistical analysis of what the OAS said.
Again, I'm taking my information from the OAS. And I'm going to say to you right now, the principle which we should be fighting for, before arguing over semantics, the principle we should be fighting for as a country should be going against corruption, dealing with poverty with our neighboring nations, and making sure that our Latin American countries have robust access to free and fair elections, and that the democratic principles are the ones, as the OAS says, the democratic principles are the ones that are paramount.
But Morales...
Senator, last night President Obama said that he worried that the Democratic Party is moving too far to the left in this primary. What do you think about that?
Look, I just want to say that I know the media and a lot of folks like to talk about left and right, but as a guy that lives in a low-income inner-city community, that's not the way my neighbors think. When I'm sitting in the barber shop, yes, I go to the barber shop. When I'm sitting in the barber shop, having talk conversations about real issues that affect real people's lives, people do not use left-right. People talk about affordable childcare, affordable prescription drugs. They talk about having access to great schools for their kids. And so what we're doing right now, creating these dynamics within the Democratic Party, we've got to be careful. Because whoever is the nominee, we have one shot to make Donald Trump a one-term president. And so I'm not interested in delineating left or right or criticizing other folks. I will talk about the policy differences between us. They're real. Some people on the stage don't believe in a carbon tax. I do. Some people on the stage don't believe in gun licensing. I do. Is that left or is that right? I don't know. I know that I got into politics in the 1990s, running to be a city council person in one of the poorest census tracts in our country. I still live there. And what my folks want is progress. They're tired of a nation that somebody works a full-time jobs, still needs to go to my bodega and use food stamps. They're tired of a nation that seems to care more about the deaths of some children and not the kids that are getting killed in communities like mine every day. We have a criminal justice system. We're sitting here right now. We have a criminal justice system, as Brian Stevenson says, it treats you better if you're rich and guilty than if you're poor and innocent. As we're sitting here right now, there are children in jail in solitary confinement that if their parents had money, they wouldn't be there. That affects my neighborhood. We sit comfortably by in a nation whose infrastructure is crumbling, and you know who that hurts most? It hurts the kids that have to drink water coming from lead service lines. The absurdity to be in a country where the most valuable natural resource we have is the genius of our children. And we have a nation where there are 3,000 jurisdictions where children have more than twice the blood lead levels of Flint, Michigan. Is that left or right? Let's stop tearing each other down. Let's stop drawing artificial lines. I'm tired in this election of hearing some people say, well, if this person gets elected, I can't support them. And then other people say, if this person gets elected, I can't support them. Are you kidding me? Donald Trump is the president of the United States of America, and dear God, if he gets another 4 years, in my community, lives depend on it. People are dying right now in this country because we have a president that every mass shooting comes along. He doesn't want to take action. He doesn't even see the people dying in my community. So I'm sorry. I'm happy to be in this field and I plan on winning. But the one thing I'm going to stop is us tearing each other down. Because if I hear from a Democrat after this primary that they're not going to support the person and they're going to sit this one out, they need to go back and understand. King said it more eloquently than I did. What we have to repent for is not the vitriolic words and violent actions of the bad people. It's the appalling silence and inaction of the good people. Thank you.